You are now live.
Hello, welcome to Tea for Lunch, a weekly show powered by Arcade Studios.
Each week, we'll serve you the top stories we're following in social media, entertainment, celebrity, and tech in 15 minutes or less, sometimes a little more. But you can catch the show live on IG or TikTok Thursdays at about 12 p.m. Mountain Time, or on all podcast providers and YouTube on Fridays. We're your hosts this week, Benjamin.
And Manny. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
How's your week been?
It's been good.
Yeah?
I don't have any crazy complaints. I feel a little bit tired.
You're tired today.
Yeah, but excited because there's a lot to talk about today. If you're watching us live, just so you know, we're on Instagram Live and TikTok.
Right.
And if you can see Manny, you might notice that he looks different. There's a different energy, vibe around him because he just came back from the desert.
I made it alive in one piece from Coachella. I have a lot of tea to spill. But if whatever aura he was talking about, it's mostly just tired. But I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you went to Coachella because we needed somebody on the ground.
Yeah, it was for work for sure. You know, I had to come out there reporting live from Coachella grounds, and the tea is hot this week, y'all. We got some good stuff to talk about. I just came back from Coachella. Ben, is there anything you're looking forward to coming up?
I'm gonna be in LA this weekend / beginning of next week to watch Grizzlies Lakers game.
You know what I just realized? You're gonna be in LA. You can catch weekend 2 of Coachella.
Well, I'll be there. I'll be getting there Saturday night, and I don't have tickets
fair.
or the budget.
Plus you got playoff tickets, so playoff tickets are good enough.
Yeah,
you get to see LeBron.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, Jaw's injured.
Oh, Ja, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited. I know that we already know because the Lakers lost last night that there's going to be a game five. So
yeah,
it'll be a longer series than already it could be.
So much going on. Anyway, we'll circle back on Coachella, but we'll dive into our first story of the day.
Yeah. So first story. If you are the type of person that is very long-winded and likes to write a lot, this is for you. You may want to hop on over to Twitter because the app has released their latest update, 10,000 character tweets. There was a 4K character announcement back in February, and I think people were already like, okay, well, we got a lot more to put into our tweets now, but now 10K, it's a big jump. The feature is only available to Twitter Blue subscribers, so that's that $8 a month or $84 a year subscription, and it allows subscribers to write tweets up to 10,000 characters in length and use bold and italic text formatting, so you can spice up your tweets a little more. And to get the new feature, Twitter Blue subscribers need to apply to enable subscriptions on their account. And they can do so by tapping on the monetization button in the settings. What do we think? Is this confusing? Is it exciting?
10K is a lot. That is more than the character account I had in college or university when I had to write. The university professor would be like, oh, it's like a 8-page paper. I think literally 10K is that. So,
yeah, it is. Well, we were talking about this before we hit go live, and it's about 3 or 4 pages. So that is pretty much paper. That's essay energy.
Do people even write that much or have capacity to read that long?
Well, it's funny because back when they did the 4K character announcement in February, they were like, do you have a lot to say? It's like, we know you do. It's like, do you though? Do you know? Who is saying that they need 10K?
Because at that point, you're it can no longer be about a thought piece. You got to put some research and I don't know, what can you write for 10K that would make people want to stay there unless it's so info.
Yeah,
heavy,
and my thought around this is that part of the power that comes from tweets is how concise and direct you have to be when you're preparing, whether it's one tweet or even a thread, because threads are split up too, right, into separate thoughts and separate just statements and ideas. And so now that we're just going to put, well, not everybody, but people have the option to put this into one
just look
big
cleaner.
tweet. I'm just wondering if it's gonna be a lot more like blah blah blah, if that makes sense, because people just have the option to say more, as opposed to being able to be, or like being forced to be more concise and to the point.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of platforms are experimenting right now. So this is one where they want to delve a little bit more into long form. So all the power to you, Twitter. We'll see how it works out. But
yeah, we'll see what's up.
Cool. Okay, and then for our main story for this week, as you all know, Coachella Weekend 1 just ended, and we definitely need to talk about it.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I was there live, and the main story coming out of this is Frank Ocean. I'm sure a lot of you have been seeing the articles that have come out, but basically my experience there, and as with everyone else's experience who was live on the grounds, was he showed up 50 minutes late to his day 3 headliner set. There's stories coming on now that there was originally supposed to be an ice rink that was built. Olympic skaters were set performers, and at the very last minute it got scrapped, so that was the cause of the delay. And then when he did finally come on after making the crowd wait for about an hour, it was just a hot mess. Like, the whole performance was chaotic, and he even admitted, he was like, this is chaotic. It felt like it was a rehearsal, like, performance for him. Like, he'd start a song, and then midway through he would just look at his band and go
Right.
There was like a 10-minute set where he brought in a DJ and a security guard was twerking, and then it was
that didn't make it to my TikTok.
I think people were just confused. Like, people were just confused. And finally it ended abruptly with him going backstage after singing his last song, At Your Best, which is an only original, and he just said, sorry everyone, it's curfew, I'm done.
Right.
And lights out, and people were just shocked. People were already leaving early on. Like, you could see midway through his set, people were just disappointed and angry, so they started walking out. But that one definitely left a sour taste. And then the question that was on my mind as soon as Coachella ended was, there is just no way that he would be back for weekend 2 because it was so messy. Right. And news came out yesterday that it's official. He's no longer performing for Weekend 2. He's being replaced by Blink-182 due to a leg injury. So
fractures. We read the words fractures and sprain.
Yeah.
In the doctor's note.
There is so much to unpack there, but I guess the first thing I want to talk about was there was a lot of Frank Ocean fans that bought Coachella tickets to see Frank Ocean specifically. There's even clips on TikTok now that, like, as soon as the gates open at 10 a.m., people like stampeded just to get like front row, and they waited 10 hours. Yeah. So, and for me, Frank was the first artist where I truly was like, oh man, this is amazing music.
Frank was the motivation for a lot of people to go to Coachella in the first place. Like, I remember when Coachella released, headliners and performers and who was going to be participating. A lot of us here at the office, at least, were like, what? Like, Frank. Like, a lot of the energy and attention was going towards Frank. So now that this is happening, I mean, I can't imagine what Blink-182 is feeling, and what the people who may have only been because people buy Coachella tickets and don't make it to week 1, and somehow are only able to make it to week 2.
Right.
And so if you miss Frank week 1, or are you just gonna start learning Blink-182 songs for week 2?
It's not even the same genre, and like, I think part of it too is Frank is already, like, he's a scarce artist to catch. Like, he rarely drops albums, and when he does, like, it's a banger, but like, he takes his time with them, and that's okay. And he hasn't been on stage for 6 years, so like, imagine that he's performing for the first time in 6 years. So there was a lot of people who were just ready for him to come out and perform. And unfortunately he didn't do that. So I think it left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. For me as a fan, I think disrespected is a good word, because I was telling Ben before this too, like, his music's going to be good. And actually the songs that he did sing and the set that he did put on for whatever, it was like an hour or whatever, it was actually good. I think I could appreciate the music that he still put out on stage, but it just wasn't set in the right context. You know, I could appreciate the music that he performed in a different context. Maybe if I was like listening to my car going for like a long drive, I would have vibed to that. It was awesome. But I think when you're headlining, especially a big festival like Coachella, there's got to be a mix of an element that's performative to engage the crowd, and mix that with good music. And there was a lot of great performers over the weekend that I saw, and a lot of people saw, that really brought it, which is why I think it was super disappointing, because we were like ready for this life-altering moment of Frank Ocean being able to perform,
Totally.
and it just didn't live up to it. So,
well, I want to know from you, Manny, maybe from a PR or like marketing perspective, like trying to protect this brand that is Frank Ocean, what do you think they could have done differently?
Representing Frank Ocean?
Yeah, like as a team, as a marketing, PR, and just like brand.
I feel
from a
like
brand perspective.
I'll never know, and we will never know either, but I just don't think Frank was ready to perform. And, you know, I'm sure there's like contractual obligations,
Right.
because he was supposed to headline Coachella a few years back. I think that was when COVID happened. So he had to go on stage at some point, but this is all speculation. I felt like when he got up there, he just wasn't ready.
Right.
For whatever reason, you know, if it's mental. He talked about his brother's passing, that
Right.
he's still grieving, so that could be an element of it. But as his team, you know, like, he just had to show up ready, and I feel like there's an element of it that he wasn't ready, and two, he seemed like he was purposely trying to be difficult when he did get up on stage. Like, he was already up there, and for most fans, even for me, all he had to do was perform and sing.
Right.
Like, he didn't have to be that theatrical about it. He just
Right.
had to sing, and that would have been enough, and he didn't really do that.
Yeah.
So
Rough.
yeah. It's rough. And
Well, I appreciate the first-hand take, because I think a lot of people are just seeing stuff on TikTok, or, you know, people are talking about what people are talking about, but you were there, and I think that's pretty cool. Being there, I don't know, what was the energy of Coachella in general? Like, if you were to
it's
say,
great.
like, Coachella was giving blank, like, what would the energy and vibes be?
Coachella was giving, this is so basic, but it was just good vibes. You know, the weather was perfect. Also, like, Frank Ocean is the story come on at Coachella, but there was
Right.
so many good artists that performed. Kali Ulis was there, Burna Boy was there, Muramasa. Like, even the smaller DJs that performed were awesome. So I have a lot of memories from those performances. But overall, like, Coachella's a world-class festival in my opinion. Like, it was highly organized. It was The festival grounds was good. Only complaint is like the food's always expensive, but that's every festival. But it was really a great experience. Yeah.
Who surprised you, like, in a good way? Because I know you saw a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, Rosalia.
Yeah.
She was so good. So I didn't listen to her music going into Coachella, and this is actually a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Like, Frank has good music. Whatever he puts out is going to be good. I'm also a fan of the genre that he makes, but like, I hadn't heard a single song from Rosalia before Coachella, but you could see that, like, during her performance, she was giving it her all.
Yeah.
It was one hell of a set for 1 hour straight. She was singing her heart out,
Right.
and I can get behind that, and a lot of fans got behind that too, where there was a performative element of it that, you know, she was giving her all, and the crowd was reciprocating that.
Right.
With Frank, it was the complete opposite. It was like he was just performing his music that he released 6 years ago, doing
Right.
whatever the hell he wanted on stage. But that performance that she put on was epic.
Nice. And she brought out Raul Alejandro as well.
Yes, they're like Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, they're an interesting mix. She's like a Barca girl, and he's like this Caribbean Latino kid, and they just dropped their, like, joint kind of album. But yeah, I'm glad you got to see that, and even, like, experience Rosalia for the first time at Coachella.
Yeah.
You say you don't listen to her.
And then I think my favorite for sure was Kate Trinata. That was a sick set. that he
Kate
put on.
Tramine.
Kate Tramine. He brought him out too, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great
Sick.
weekend. I'm glad I'm back in one piece.
Good. I'm glad you survived. Would you do it again?
Of course. Yes, I'd do it again. Maybe this time next year we'll be back on Tea for Lunch reporting live from the ground. So
Yeah.
we'll do it up.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Now that we've whet your palate, go eat something more substantial.
Get out of here.
Peace out.